Welcome to another episode of This and That. As always, I'm your host, Bryan Hawkes, and want to thank everyone for joining us here for another fantastic TV show here on Burnsville-Egan Community Television. For those of you that don't know what This and That is, well, it's a variety show of, I guess, well, heck, a little of this and a little of that. We've had musical guests on in the past. We've had actually even a professional storyteller on. So we like to think we run the full gamut of events out there and guests on our show. Local acts, of course. But tonight we are joined by a alternative bluegrass musical group, the Moss Piglets, everyone. So let's thank those guys for coming. And guys, thanks for being on This and That. And to introduce yourselves, you guys want to go around and introduce yourselves?
I'll start. My name is Ian Gamble. I'm the banjo player, and this is my banjo here. And then I also play this funky-looking steel metal guitar there. It's called a resonator guitar. John?
All right, I'm John Goolsby, and I play mostly rhythm guitar. I also play a few extraneous instruments now and then, recorder and harmonica, whatever the situation calls for.
And my name's George Payne, and I play the bass.
I'm John Barkay, and I play all the weird instruments in the band. Musical saw, melodica, and believe it or not, turkey baster.
I'm Mike Zulo. I play mandolin and guitar and sometimes violin like Jack Benny.
Usually not in public.
No, they let me play, in the confines of our.
That's backstage, at least, I guess, right?
In the basement, like put me in another room.
Now, guys, we'll get into the instruments here briefly, but I think the first question that's on everyone's mind is the Moss Piglets. What's behind the name?
I'm not taking that one. That's
Well, I'll take part of it. We had a hard time finding a name that other people didn't have. Try and do that. I mean, it's tough. And that was an option, and that came up partly because we have an entomologist in the band, and that's Mr. John Barkay.
Those of you that don't know what an entomologist is, that's somebody that studies bugs. Go figure. But we got a couple biologists in the band. We're trying to come up with a band name that nobody else has, that nobody else has. And so we went into some sites and we found freshwater organisms. Okay, this is what a moss piglet is. We did want to be the water bears, which is another name for the moss piglets, but water bears is already taken.
Is that right?
Yes. So what
are the odds?
We said, okay, there's Moss Piglets.
Wasn't that a metal band out of Sweden or something?
I can't remember, but they trademarked it. So we bought the domain for Moss Piglets on .org, right? .cpg.com. So we own the name Moss Piglets, and we're very proud of it.
Don't take it.
Yeah, listen to John. Don't try to steal it now, everyone.
Yeah, he's the attorney in the band, by the way. You gotta be careful.
It also allows you to put cute little piglets on literature and stuff having to do with the band, like the CD, for example.
Yes, well, and speaking of the CD, this is your second CD. You guys have 2 CDs out now? Is that right?
CDs out so far.
But possibly working on a third.
We're working on the third.
Definitely working on the third.
Definitely working, not possibly. Excuse me, guys.
What would you say, guys? About 3/4 of the way through the
Yeah,
third
we
one?
mostly
mostly
done.
down some more tracks and master it, but
Pretty
other
much
than that,
just
we
need
had
to do
the guts
full.
of it.
Okay.
We got to argue over artwork. That always takes a long time, too.
More piglets?
I suppose.
Maybe we've had enough piglets.
Well, and speaking of that, so if we can get a shot at the CD here, the second CD, there's 4 piglets here, and Mike, I heard that you are the missing link here. Joined the band here in the middle of the making of CD number 2.
Yeah, I'm on about 3 tracks or 4 tracks on that, I do believe.
But he didn't make the artwork.
But I didn't make the artwork.
Didn't make the artwork. Well, I suppose that's why that's why you guys are making the third, right? To get Mike back in the group. All right, now, guys, we talked a little bit about instruments and whatnot, but before we get into that, how'd you guys get started? How long have you played together?
Ian and I have been, we were college roommates, and we played in a band together starting in 1987, if memory serves. And George was in another band at that time. He went to college with us too, Grinnell College. and we jammed with him frequently, kind of informally. We met John Barquet in 92, 93,
Wow.
somewhere in there. And so we played with him. And then when George finished school at Grinnell, he came up and joined us. And so the four of us have been together since then. And then, as Mike said, he joined the band while we were in the process of making that second CD, Bitterroot, which came out end of '06.
Okay. Okay. So you guys obviously been doing this for a while, and obviously a couple CDs out. And let's back up a step. For the members of our audience, and I suppose myself included, what specifically is bluegrass music? And I understand you guys put a little twist on that for the songs that you do?
Well, bluegrass music, hard to start. Where to start with that?
Well, the short version here. We only have an hour show or a half-hour show, guys.
Well, going back to Roman times.
Phil Monroe is a good place to start if you're looking for traditional bluegrass music. There's also an older style just called old-time music that kind of predates that, and I actually play that style of banjo, even though I kind of adapt it to bluegrass. But our band also incorporates some rock and some reggae influences and that kind of thing into our music, but we play with traditional instruments to the single mic, which is a very traditional way of playing. So.
Now, and as we opened the show this evening, we heard "Plight of the Refuge," and does that incorporate a blend?
Refugee.
A refugee.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Well, my notes apparently weren't correct.
I wrote the tune to fill up space on the new CD. These guys. John and Ian write most of the songs, and we didn't have enough. I didn't think we had enough original stuff on the CDs, so I wrote this tune really quick, and we recorded it. It came out pretty cool, so we decided to play it here. Yeah.
Well, good. So again, we heard "Plight of the Refugee." Make sure I get that right, everyone. And now, for those guys that heard that, interested in, of course, hearing more, we're going to do a couple more songs tonight. But again, what's next for you guys this summer quickly, and then how to potentially get in touch with you guys? Do you have a website or a MySpace page potentially?
Yeah, we have a website. It's mosspiglets.com, MOSSPIGLETS.
Okay.
And you could contact us from there. And
okay. And get a hold of what's coming up next, and I suppose that.
Yeah, you'll see our schedule, and you can get a hold of one of us if you want to, book us. But we aren't cheap.
We got to put a plug in for the Minnesota Bluegrass and Old Time Music Association, which is Mabatna for people in the know, and they've been a great help. They're very supportive of bluegrass bands and traditional music bands, and they've helped us get a lot of gigs. So go to their site too; you'll see other stuff that we do.
All right. Well, yeah. So everyone out there, check out the website, the Moss Piglets again .com, correct? So check that out and get a hold of these guys. And if you guys are going to stick around, we got to run to a quick break. But when we come back, we're going to hear Shiny River. Correct?
Correct.
All right, so stick around, guys. We'll be back after this with more This and That with the Moss Piglets.